joined on the phone today by actor Dean Cain. You might remember him as Superman from the Lois and Clark show back in the day. He's got a new film out now called Gosnell, the trial of America's biggest serial killer. It's in theaters October 12th. Hey, Dean, how's it going? It's great to be speaking with you today.
I'm happy to be here, brother. Absolutely. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about this new movie, Gosnell, the trial of America's biggest serial killer. It sounds intense, and it's that time of year. Can you tell the listeners a bit about the film?
Well, this story this is a true story. This took place, he was busted sort of in 2011, and 2013 is when the trial and everything took place. And people didn't cover it. The media didn't cover it very well. Kermit Gosnell was an abortion clinic doctor, and he was performing late-term abortions in the city of Philadelphia. And in the state of Pennsylvania, the cutoff date for late-term abortions is 24 weeks. When he was doing this over and over and over again to actually inducing live birth and then killing the innocent babies. They were born alive, and then he would snip their spinal cords. And that sounds gruesome, and it is gruesome, but it didn't get a lot of coverage. So a lot of people hadn't heard about this story, and he may have done 3 or 4 of these a day for 17 years. So I'm not a math expert, but that number stacks up pretty high.
Yeah, that is incredible. You mentioned not getting covered much. You know, when you think of biggest serial killers, you're thinking maybe, Ted Bundy or somebody like that. But obviously this guy, way worse than those guys. Way
worse and on way more helpless victims. And it's terrible. It's weird because the guy is such a strange, odd guy. He doesn't think he did anything wrong. He would be the most genteel, friendly guy to your face, but he seems no remorse whatsoever for doing what he did to these live children. At 24, 26 weeks, the viability of that child is about 90%. So these were viable human beings that he was, living viable human beings that he was just killing. And I think he had about 6 kids of his own. It's just a really strange guy. And I think the film is really, really interesting because we cover how it started. I play Detective Jim Wood, who's the detective who actually started the investigation. It was a narcotics investigation to begin with, and they sort of discovered all of this when they went into his clinic, which hadn't been inspected in 17 years for political reasons. They discovered all of this horrible stuff going on, sort of a house of horrors, and that's how it all started.
And again, the film, Gosnell, the trial of America's biggest serial killer, it'll be out in theaters here October 12th. You can get the info at fandango.com. And I know you've got a very successful crowdfunding effort behind the film. It broke a lot of records. So obviously a lot of people are excited to see this one.
Yeah, it's not a feel-good movie, but it's an important film in that nobody wants to talk about what happened. Nobody wants to talk about how this took place, and the media certainly didn't want to put it out there because abortion's a bad word, and they say they'll couch it in other terms, women's reproductive rights or this or that. But what was going on here was way beyond anything that anybody's really talking about, and it's the kind of story that we think needs to be told. We were really excited that Indiego funded it so quickly and at such a good level, such a high level. It broke records there, and that was a fantastic thing. We're really proud of the film, and we hope people get out and see it. It's not a gory film at all, by the way. It just tells the story. You understand the emotional impact of these things, but it's not a gore fest by any stretch of the imagination. It's emotionally very charged, but it's not. You're not going to see horrific things. It's a PG-13 film. The subject matter is tough that you're talking about, but you're not seeing all of these awful things.
Well, and Dean, of course, the subject pretty heavy duty, as you've been mentioning, and especially the way the country is divided now, with things like abortion and those sorts of topics. So, this is definitely a very timely film.
It's a timely film because people were talking about with the new Justice Kavanaugh being on the Supreme Court. Are they going to overturn Roe versus Wade? What's going to happen there? And you hear a lot of people going, but the thing is, even if Roe versus Wade was overturned, all that does is revert the decision on abortion back to the states, which is pretty much what's going on right now. So it really wouldn't change much. Not that I am one way or the other for it. My personal view, everyone thinks this is a pro-life film, and we don't take a position on this whatsoever. We just tell the story of what actually took place and let the viewers decide where they stand on the issue.
And again, it'll be in theaters October 12th, and you can get info at fandango.com. And And Dean, I know a lot of people know you from Lois and Clark, and nowadays everyone wants to play a superhero. All the blockbuster movies based on comics, but you kind of really helped lay the groundwork for that with your role as Superman.
Yeah, when we did Lois and Clark, there hadn't been a superhero on television for a long, long time, and even the idea that we were going to do it, everyone's like, "That's not such a good idea. That's not going to fly." Nowadays, every third show is a superhero themed show, which is great. So I would like to collect my royalty checks now.
Yeah, you were definitely ahead of your time there for sure.
Well, it's fun. I get to play Supergirl's foster father on Supergirl, and that's fun. And I like still being a part of the whole universe. I'm glad there's a lot of superheroes out there right now.
Well, and I noticed looking over your career, you've been in a lot of Christmas films over the year as well.
I like Christmas, Dustin. I like Christmas. Don't judge me.
No, not at all. I didn't know if that was a coincidence or maybe you had an affinity for the holiday films.
Well, even when I wrote episodes on Lois and Clark, which I did, one of them was the first one I wrote, a Christmas episode. I love Christmas. One of my favorite movies of all time is It's a Wonderful Life. And just Christmas, to me, whether or not you find a religious component to it or not, it's a time for families to get together and be around each other and spend time together. And it's a time for reflection and hopefully hope and togetherness. So I love Christmas and all of the things that come around Christmas. It makes it a really wonderful and rich time for telling stories. And because of that, I've been in 713 Christmas movies. Okay, that might be a slight exaggeration, but.
Well, what else is impressive to me? I don't know. I know you have a son now. Is he impressed at all with your accolades from your MTV Rock and Jock days?
He's never seen those. You have to go back to the microfiche on those things. You have to go back to the old stuff to find that stuff nowadays. But I do love. This is a whole new world now with the stuff people are pulling up on YouTube. I have found so many old things that I was in, and whether it was television commercials or things like that on YouTube. It's amazing. So he hasn't seen that yet. There's enough things that he has to deal with now with showing up with me now, so he doesn't need to go back and see some of my old accolades. And I make him watch whatever I'm in.
Awesome, man. Well, again, the new movie, Gosnell, The Trial of America's Biggest Serial Killer, in theaters October 12th, and I'm looking forward to seeing what else you got up. It's going to be Christmas soon, so I'm going to be looking for you.
Thank you very much, Dustin.
All right, you bet. Thank you.
Cheers.
And again, that was actor Dean Cain, Superman from Lois and Clark, and of course, a lot of Christmas films over the years, as he's mentioned. But his new film, Gosnell, The Trial of America's Biggest Serial Killer, is in theaters October 12th. Get more information at fandango.com.